Thank you for joining me once again for Power Rangers Mighty Morphin Weekend. Today on Button Smash, we're going to go back to what I call the golden age of gaming. The era ruled by Nintendo and Sega. These early video game years were something special. Kids were starting fan wars and picking sides between the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. Even the ads these companies would put out would attack the other.
Be free or college free. What Nintendo?
I never really gave a damn about any of that. I didn't care what consoles I was playing on. I just wanted to play great games, and I still stand by that. Video games were being taken seriously as an entertaining form of media, and the amount of money that could be made in the industry was massive. And what does that mean will inevitably happen? The movie industry is going to try cashing in. I don't think I've ever seen a generation in gaming where so many movie-based games existed. Every popular movie you could think of had a video game attached to it. Of course, Power Rangers the movie jumped into the mix with several games. But something else was happening during this time that made it really worthwhile having multiple consoles. If you look at video games today, for example, you'll have Mass Effect Andromeda on PS4. And if you jump over to Xbox One and play it, it's virtually the same game. There's no reason to spend money on both versions. But back then, many games were made on Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis that shared the same name, yet were completely different games. Jurassic Park on SNES was more of an open world game, whereas the Sega Genesis version was more of a platformer. Tasmania SNES was a weird runner style game, while the Genesis version was also a platformer. And Batman Returns was a beat 'em up on the SNES, and also a platformer on the Sega Genesis. Power Rangers the movie followed that same strategy. So today, we're gonna do a double review. Let's start with the Super Nintendo version, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, featuring Ivan OOZE. Right away we're blasted with the theme song, and it sounds great. And all the Power Rangers from the movie are here. But wait a minute, I want to be a Power Ranger. I don't want to play as their real identities. I'm sure I'll be in costume when the level starts though. Oh, come on. I'm pressing every button and I can't even transform. Kids from my generation playing a Power Rangers game would always argue over who the coolest Ranger was. Was it the Green Ranger? Was it the White Ranger? I don't think any kid has ever said, no, screw that. I don't want to play as a Power Ranger. I want to play as a regular ass teenager. I don't want to be the Green Ranger. I want to be Tommy. And if you ever did have a friend that said that, you chose the wrong friend. And that's what you play as through most of the game, a regular person. There's no button that'll make you magically morph at the beginning of a level. To become a Power Ranger, you have to struggle through the level, collecting these stupid lightning bolts until you fill up your power meter. And I say struggle because that's what every level is. It's a struggle, because in regular human form, you're weaker, and sometimes it takes forever to fill up your power meter. It's guilty of one of my biggest gaming pet peeves. Everything you touch hurts you. Some of these enemies are just walking by. They're not punching me, they're not stabbing me, they're just walking. And I get hurt just by touching them. And if you get to a boss before morphing, your character does it anyways. So why not just start you off as a Power Ranger? And most of the Power Rangers look exactly the same, except each one is just a color swap. So you might not think this is a big deal, but it's kind of funny when you choose the Pink Ranger and she has a muscular, manly physique, because they were too lazy to program a female body. This is the Pink Ranger, and her costume is even supposed to look slightly different. When you're a Ranger, you're stronger, and if you fill up your power meter, you can even use weapons to attack enemies, and each character has a different one. I like the Pink Rangers the best, since you can easily attack enemies from far away. You also have an ultimate attack, which is different for each character and causes devastating amounts of damage to all enemies on screen. But you barely have an opportunity to do any of this, because by the time you collect enough lightning bolts to turn into a Power Ranger, then collect even more to fill up your bar a second time around, you'll probably be at the end of the level. You also have to jump between the background and the foreground of the level to hit certain enemies, and sometimes you end up playing tag with them. You'll jump to the background, they'll jump to the foreground, leaving you bouncing back and forth like an idiot. It's annoying. Two things that I can praise the game for are the music and the enemy variety. The soundtrack sounds like something you'd find in a good Capcom arcade beat-em-up or a Mega Man game. and you fight all kinds of different enemies. Different colored putties have different abilities, like electrocution powers or using swords. The bosses are also really cool, and mostly taken directly from the show. Mirror Maniac fires energy balls at you and teleports around the screen, creating duplicates of himself. Cannon Top hangs out on a platform, and he shoots rockets that fall down slowly from the air. There's some kind of surfboard battle with Skellerina. There's a train turret thing that's actually kind of annoying, and Magnet Brain throws tornadoes at you, and he attacks you with his staff. And Stage 5 has an armored vehicle mid-boss that I had to face without having enough lightning bolts to morph into a ranger, of course. So I found myself playing as Kimberly while bitch-slapping this giant moving vehicle. Bitch-slapping a vehicle multiple times while it's threatening to run you over will cause it to explode. I wonder if that would really work.
Breaking news just in. A failed YouTuber has been critically injured in an incredible act of stupidity after attacking a moving vehicle with his bare hands. Mental illness is suspected.
Silverhorn charges at you and creates electric balls that you have to avoid, then sends out laser balls. With the Pink Ranger's bow and arrow, he was pretty useless though. Mainframe is a clear ripoff of Mother Brain from the Metroid series, just a brain that sits inside glass and does nothing, while its minions do all the work. And then the final boss, Ivan OOZE. Well, wait a minute, I completely forgot I was playing Power Rangers the movie. This game has absolutely nothing to do with the movie, except that Ivan OOZE is thrown into the end as a final boss for no reason other than to have something from the movie in it. There's literally no story or explanation behind anything throughout the entire game. After beating him, everything starts self-destructing, and you escape Ivan OOZE's base while it explodes, and the Ninja Megazord watches. And oh my god, this scene just reminded me about the Zords. The game has no Zord battles at all. In fact, this is the only time you see the Zord. In the ending, I was so distracted with all the frustrating aspects of this game that I didn't even notice until the ending reminded me, slapping me in the face with that image. Oh, and then Tommy has a boxing match with Rocky, because Rocky. And they both knock out Bulk and Skull for no reason. Ugh, this game sucks. Let's pop in the Sega Genesis version. As soon as you start the game, you're blasted with the story. 6,000 years ago, a morphological being known as Ivan OOZE ruled the world with an unparalleled terror. You mean like the movie? The movie the game is named after? And then there's the character select screen. That's more like it. You pick your Power Ranger, not a regular teenager. And you play the entire game in your Power Rangers uniform. Oh look, the Pink Ranger looks just like she's supposed to, compared to her muscular, manly frame in the SNES version. And instead of just doing single punches and kicks, the game has actual combos. And enemies don't hurt you by simply touching them. In fact, you have to touch enemies in order to grab them and throw them. Each Power Ranger also has a charge attack that's done by simply holding the punch button for a couple of seconds. You can do it as much as you want, and it looks awesome. The Black Ranger's being my favorite by far. He takes his battle axe and shoots it like a gun from the handle. So cool. When you beat a stage, you get a cutscene that tells the story. Not only is the story in this game based directly on the movie, but it even takes it a step further. The first two levels are fast-forward events, leading up to the end of the movie when the Power Rangers fight Ivan OOZE's giant robot Scorpion and Hornet. And you get to pick between the Ninja Megazord and the Falcon Zord. They're Zord battles. Thank you. This is how you do a Power Rangers game. The Ninja Megazord has its own combos and can attack with its sword. And the Falcon Sword can shoot its rockets from its wings, just like in the movie, and has electric attacks. After beating them, the Power Rangers reminisce about joining the team, and Stage 3 goes back in time to the events of the series, explaining how the three new Rangers in the movie joined up. So you fight characters from the series instead of a barrage of OOZE men, including the ever-lovable Putty Patrol. And when the boss comes, you can choose between the Thunder Megazord and the Tiger Megazord, further showing the variety of characters you can choose, and demonstrating how much better this is than the SNES version. Stage 4 is really cool too, because it has multiple paths, and if you pick the right one, there's a secret battle with Lord Zed that you can easily miss out on. And then you fight Goldar, who was my absolute favorite villain in the show. There's even a giant Megazord battle against him too. And of course, instead of destroying Goldar, he flies away as usual. You go through another stage where Goldar is the boss again, but this one's kind of annoying. There's a volcano or something erupting, and crap keeps falling from the sky and hitting you. So that explains how the new Power Rangers replace the old ones. And then the game sends you back to present time in a final battle against Ivan OOZE after he fuses with his giant Hornet robot and transforms. Just like the movie, they fly off into space. But the game takes it another step further, and there's a final showdown on the moon, with a fire raging in the background. So epic. The Power Rangers save the day and destroy Ivan OOZE forever. There's countless Power Rangers video games out there throughout the years, and some are better than others. That's the situation when looking at these two games. If you want to have fun playing a game based on the movie, grab a friend and blow through the Sega Genesis version on 2 players. You'll have a good time. If you want to lose your friends, call them over and attempt to play through the Super Nintendo version with them, then reflect on your life and think about the things you could have been doing instead. Thank you for joining me again for Power Rangers Weekend, and make sure you join me next time when I review Power Rangers the Movie 2017. Leave me all your thoughts down below, and remember to like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, and check out my social media links. This is Fabian, I love you guys as always, and I'll see you next time.